Hi, this is Bill Varney from FishTheSurf.com and your saltwater guide with your Thursday, May 8th surf fishing report. So, up and down the coast over the last weekend, a week and a half, really longer, but more so in the last couple of weeks, we've had some really dirty water, a lot of eelgrass and kelp and all that. That seems to have begun to really clean up, and that's a really good sign. So let's start up north where we got good word about fishing this week. So up at Halama Beach, one of the great surf fishing beaches, well north of Santa Barbara, but up at Lompoc, right next to the Vandenberg Air Force Base, had some really good fishing this week between the storm and the wind on stripers. And a couple of stripers over 30 inches caught on hard baits like the Battlestar and the Lucky Craft. These are all being caught at a beach that's adjacent to Halama. I'm not going to say where it is, but those of you who go up there just know it's not the main Halama beach. You'll have to hike a bit to it. So that's a really good sign, and we're going to see those stripers up in that area all the way from now all the way through the month of October. So look for them. Perch fishing is always going to be good up there. There's good cabezon fishing up there, sand bass, some massive smelt, but these striper are really what we like to target up there. As we make our way down to Santa Barbara, perch fishing has slowed down. It looks like a lot of the females have now spawned, and now there's a lot of the smaller fish in the surf. So that's slowed down for anglers somewhat in Santa Barbara. Certainly the size has gotten a bit smaller, but what really picked up, and I think it's because a lot of anglers have changed their tactics up there in the last week or so. They're concentrating on different fish than the perch that they did earlier. Good fishing on halibut and actually very good fishing on sea bass up in that area. So halibut wise, we're finding fish everywhere from the wharf to north of Goleta, north of Santa Barbara. Those fish have been caught on anything from hard baits or jerk baits like the Lucky Craft and the Battlestar, to also flukes. White flukes have worked really well. Swim baits have worked well, but both the white fluke and swim baits that are not only in the white color, but also blue on the top, gray sparkle on the bottom that look a lot like a grunion, have also begun to work really well too. So we'll keep our eye on that, and hopefully that will continue to get better as time goes on. The other thing that we've seen up in that area is a really decent bite on sea bass. Now there's been a lot of sub-legal sea bass. There have been some in the legal category over 30 inches. And once again, most of these fish are being taken on hard baits like the Lucky Craft, the Battlestar, and these fish have been targeted above Santa Barbara. So between Santa Barbara and Gaviota, in that zone, anglers have been finding fish. As can be expected, the anglers on these halibut and these white sea bass have been very tight-lipped. So we don't know exactly where they are, but they're definitely in that area. And those of you who know how to look for conditions will certainly be able to find the fish. The next thing is that we've really been looking at some in the Carpenter area and in the Santa Claus Lane area. There's been quite a few small barred surf perch, a few walleye perch in that area, and a few yellowfin croaker, not very big fish. Once again, it really looks like those fish are making a transition now from their spawning, and those bigger fish will kind of go offshore or they'll bed down around rock areas, and then all of those smaller fish will just fill in around the beach and eat all those sand crabs as they begin to grow on the beach there. So that continues to be good up in the Santa Barbara area. And then when we make our way down to Ventura, Ventura was one of the hot areas this week. Even though we had that wind going on, a little bit of rain mixed in with it, boy, on some of even those bad condition days were some really good fishing. In that Faria area just north of Ventura overhead, had some excellent fishing there for perch, some pretty big perch to 15 inches, barred surf perch, and then just an absolute wide open bite one day of yellowfin croaker on bloodworms that was just outstanding, where just 3 anglers got over 30 fish in about an hour. That was really, really good. And one thing to remember about those yellowfin croakers, they always run in schools. They're not like corbina where they're individualistic or there's maybe 2 or 3 of them moving around. They'll run in these big schools, and they will move up and down the coast. I'm going to guess anywhere between 5 and 15 miles in a day looking for food. So they may be there today and they may be as wide open, as crazy as possible. they may be gone tomorrow. Don't be surprised. But when you do run across those yellowfin croaker and you catch one, you can be pretty well assured that there's many more offshore, and it's time for you to target those. So Ventura continues to be good. There was some really good leopard shark fishing in Ventura with a couple of really big fish, both off the pier and on the beach this week. Leopard shark fishing will be good all up and down the coast from now throughout the entire summer. So look for those really good fish to fish for at night, for sure. And then down from about the Channel Islands harbor all along the Ventura Beach up towards C Street had been some really good yellowfin croaker fishing in that area too. So up above Ventura and in Ventura proper had some awfully good yellowfin croaker fishing. That'll continue to be good. And then there were a couple of nice corbina caught on a Lucky Craft Pointer 78. So that's the smaller Lucky Craft. That's maybe about this long, about 3 inches long. And a couple of nice corbina, 18 inchers, were caught on that. Of course, once again with these corbina, whether they're up by Ferrea or down by in Ventura proper, or we had some in Oxnard last week, these anglers are being really tight-lipped on where these fish are, and there's no reason they're not doing that. That really makes a lot of sense. So look in that general area. You want to find conditions, and then anything from a bloodworm, of course these Lucky Craft baits are going to work on those, corbina and soft shell sand crabs, all of those will work really well in the Ventura area. Once again, our Malibu friends were missing in action. If you're a person who lives and fishes in the Malibu area, please send us reports. We're kind of missing out on that area. I know it's good because of the closure earlier. It really messed up everybody from going up there. So if that's a zone that you fish, please send us a fish report to fishthesurf@mail.com. We really appreciate that. And then when we make our way down to the South Bay, Dockweiler kicked out a beautiful 22-inch corbina this week on a bloodworm. So once again, they're getting more active. The corbina along the coast are getting more active. As we make our way toward Palos Verdes, we go down to Hermosa and Manhattan, the perch fishing continues to be good in Hermosa and Manhattan. All of the fish seem to be, once again, those smaller fish. I think a lot of those big females are off the beach now. So that remains good with the smaller fish. And the other big news is that 8th Street, one angler caught 2 legal halibut using a white fluke this last week. So that's certainly working in the surf. And as we have this Grenion run coming up on Monday and throughout the week next week, that will do everything, including improve as time goes on. Warmer water, more bait in the water, Grenion, those are all going to lead to some really good fishing. And then as we make our way into Orange County, really kind of that zone from Huntington Harbor, Surfside along there, all the way through the Bolsa Chica State Beach area, has been good, not only for those smaller barred perch and the walleye perch, but some corbina have been caught down in that area. We haven't seen any spot fin lately, but all of the other fish seem to be active there. And then also there was news this week of a nice legal caught at the Bolsa Chica inlet there using a Lucky Craft in that area. We're also going to see those fish in places like the Talburnt Marsh, San Ann River, of course the Bolsa Chica inlet. And the reason for that is that when we have these Grenion runs, certainly this one coming up on Monday, those Grenion are always looking for soft sand to spawn in. You'll always find soft sand around the entrances of bays and estuaries and harbors and rivers that come out. So that's where they'll concentrate. So really some really good fishing, not only up in the South Bay and in Ventura, but certainly down in Orange County too. Slowed a bit this week with the weather because I think there's less anglers on the water, but still continues to be good as that water continues to warm up. And then Newport Beach has been good. I just had a great report from yesterday of barred surf perch and walleye perch. Once again, not the biggest fish, but a lot of them hunkered down around the edges of all those jetties in Newport Beach. That continues to be good, and I think that will pick up after this next little storm comes through early next week and we get into that beautiful summer and spring weather that we can expect. And then when we make our way down to San Diego, Carlsbad State Beach checked in again this week with some good fishing for the walleye and barred surf perch, but some decent corbina fishing and yellowfin croaker fishing right below the store there that's about in the middle of the state park below the steps. one of the reasons that the fishing has improved down in that area is because there seems to be more and more sand being replenished on the beach down there. Prior to that, it was a lot of rocks down there, and there wasn't much of a place for sand crabs to dig in. So there wasn't much food there. So the fish, I think, were avoiding most of that. Now that that sand is filling in again, we're seeing a lot more sand crabs down there. Fishing will continue to get good down there. And then the other thing about San Diego is that although we didn't have a lot of reports from San Diego this week, we are going to see, I know for sure, better fishing down there next week and the coming weeks. We have a series of 5 or 6 south swells coming in all the way from places like New Zealand, Australia, Antarctica, Chile, 4,000 to 6,000 miles away, that will be coming up our coast in the next probably 2 weeks or so, and that will continue to push warm water this way. And then lastly, remember, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, you'll find it on the front page of fishthesurf.com. Just ask for your email address. You don't get spammed with anything else. And every month, the beginning of each month, you'll receive an email with all kinds of information about what's being caught, what we're using for bait, an outlook of the upcoming month of what to look for, condition-wise, and all kinds of tips on becoming a better angler at the beach. So sign up for that for sure. The next thing is your grunion run. Don't forget that the grunion run, the next grunion run, will be on our full moon on Monday, the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, so Monday through Thursday. That will begin at about 9:30 on Monday, about 10:30 on Tuesday, and so forth. That should be a good run. Remember, this is a no-take period. You can't even touch the grunion right now. You can only observe them. So don't touch or take any grunion. We won't be able to do that until after or during the first grunion run in the month of July. So no taking, just observation. But if you do go down there and observe, remember where they are, line it up with something permanent on shore, and then come down there over the next 4 or 5 days and fish halibut, sea bass, other fish in that area. That's where they're going to be coming in. That's the secret about grunion runs. It's not that there was a run, it's where did that run come in, because that's where you want to fish. And then last but not least, if you're in the market for any tackle of any kind, surf fishing tackle, rods and reels, terminal tackle, lures, grubs, flies, all of those things, please check out my site, surffishtackle.com. I only carry the things on the site there that I personally use at the beach. So thank you so much for watching today, and until next week when I see you right here, good luck on the beach.